Hey everybody, welcome to week 33. I'm 34 weeks and 3 days today. Everything's going really well still. A lot happened last week, so I want to get right into it. Excuse me. First off, I kind of left off with a non-stress test last week. I did go ahead and cancel it. I called the insurance company. They said there was a $25 copay. And it's not just the money, because it's not that we can't afford the copay. It's just that I don't want to spend money on unnecessary things. And I just really felt like it wasn't a necessity. So I went ahead and canceled it. Of course, they gave me a problem. I called the office. I said I want to cancel it. And she said, can I ask why? And I told her, I don't think it's necessary, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, she said, okay, talk to the doctor about it, basically. So I just went for the ultrasound and the doctor's appointment on that day initially. The ultrasound went great. He was very active, which they always tell me, how active he is, how his heartbeat's great. I don't remember exactly what his heartbeat was. I don't remember. But everything was just great. She looked at, the stuff they always look at, his bladder, his kidneys, things like that. It was funny, we got some ultrasound pictures, and they're actually downstairs, so I'm not going down to get them. But, and he was actually peeing in one of the ultrasound pictures. You can just see kind of the fluid. It's hilarious. But, everything looked really good. She was really a little concerned about my fluid level. It was a little higher than, I don't know if it was higher than last time, but she still said it was a little higher than normal. This was a different girl that did this. So that worried me a little bit because, I had looked up before higher fluid levels. That can be caused from gestational diabetes. And she kind of scared me when she said it. She said it wasn't dangerously high or anything like that, but, it concerned me. And so I kind of waited to talk to the doctor about it, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. But everything else looked good. He was measuring about what they thought to be like 5 pounds, which is right on where I have an internet thing that emails me every week. That tells me the weight. And it said he should have been about 5 pounds, so he was about 5 pounds. In the 66th percentile measuring, so he did increase a little bit there. And what's funny is, for the first time, I don't know if my doctor was in a good mood, or he's just sick of arguing with me, but he just kind of admitted that there's nothing wrong. That, he's not overweight, he's not a big baby, and that everything looks really good. The other thing that kind of worried me a little bit is she was trying to check my cervix. My bladder wasn't full enough for some reason. I don't know why, because I drank like I was supposed to. And this was a different girl, so possibly, I don't know. But she couldn't, so she had to do a transvaginal ultrasound where she looked at my cervix, and she said that it had actually begun to shorten. It was about half the size that it was, or half the length that it was at my last ultrasound. So, we asked what that meant, even though I kind of know what that means. And she said it's very possible that we'll go early, that he won't go to 40 weeks, which on one hand is bad, on one hand is good, because I didn't know how early she meant. And I definitely don't want him to be premature and have problems. But at the same time, the fact that my body is starting to do something to, initiate labor at some point is good, because it really helps to ease my mind about the induction, because I really want to do things naturally, and I'm positive if I get induced I won't be able to. So, and it also lessens my chance of a C-section, which I'm also really concerned about. So I was kind of, iffy about that. But, everything looked good. We got some pictures, like I said, and he's still really cute. So from there we went in to see the doctor, and the appointment took forever. Like, between the ultrasound and the doctor's appointment, it took forever. But, like I said, he was either in a really good mood or just sick of arguing with me. He, even though the baby's in a higher percentile this time, which is ironic, he agreed that the baby's fine, that he's not big. He doesn't have characteristics of a gestational diabetes baby. He did ask about my sugars again. We talked, and we actually brought up the fluid. He didn't seem to think it was that big a deal, which again is ironic, because normally he makes the biggest deal out of everything. But he told me, he said it could mean nothing, not to worry about it. The main concern is that it can cause premature labor. I talked to him a little bit about my cervix, and he didn't seem too concerned with that either. He said, that it's nothing, to indicate, obviously, that I'll go super early. So, and I talked to him a little bit about the NIC unit because, if you guys remember, those of you that have followed me, the NIC unit, or my hospital doesn't have a NIC unit. The only NIC unit in this area is at the other hospital that we're not going to. So in the event that he would need a NIC unit, he's going to be transported and I would not be, which obviously I don't want. But we talked to him about that, and he said if the baby's born after 35 weeks, because I thought at 37 was the cutoff, any babies born before 37 would automatically go. But he says no, it's about 35. And then we actually found out, and I'll tell you a minute about that it's actually 34-ish, 35. So, I'm 34 weeks right now in a few days. So, hopefully, that won't even be an issue. So, he talked about insulin again. He said, we were talking about the fluid a little bit. I think he could tell that it worried me. And he said, well, that does kind of indicate that possibly your sugars are not as in control as I'd like, blah, blah, blah. And, the only way to correct that would be with insulin. And, I told myself I'm not doing insulin. So, then, he brought up the stress test. He goes, so I guess I'm not going to get you to do a stress test. And I said, well, I just, really want to talk to you about that. I said, I don't understand why I need them. And, he pretty much said that, he wants to do them on a weekly basis because they're only good for a week. The results that he gets, he basically wants to, check them every week. I said, at this point I was kind of upset about the fluid and kind of worried about going early and whatever, so I just agreed to it. And I told Paul, I said, I'm sick and tired of arguing. I don't want to argue anymore. I don't care. So, their office, it was really late at this point. It was like after 5 o'clock. And he said it was too late to do it in their office. But, he could send me up to the labor and delivery because their office is in the hospital unit. So he could send me up to the labor and delivery unit to do it. Which I said, fine, let's get it over with. My husband was like, no, let's come back like tomorrow or something. But I'm kind of glad. Well, I wanted to get it over. But I kind of did regret it after a little while because we went up there and it took forever. No, the one I did in their office was like 20 minutes. And I think I told you guys, they kept losing the heartbeat because he moves so much. And, I have the anterior placenta, plus I'm heavier. So they always have a heck of a time, like, keeping the heartbeat on him. Or keeping the monitor to catch the heartbeat. But we went up there, and we went into their, where they do the non-stress test was full. So they took me into a labor and delivery room, which was kind of cool because you got to, we'd already seen it, but, you got to kind of check it out a little more. We were there for like an hour and a half because it just took forever, and then once she did it, she had to get it approved by someone, like the on-call person from our doctor's office, because it wasn't a continuous 20 minutes, it had breaks where the heartbeat, where the monitor couldn't detect the heartbeat or whatever. But again, everything was absolutely fine, and after a while, because they have you click for the kicks and things like that, after like the first 5 minutes, she took that away from me because she could hear, you could hear him move. He was moving all over the place. She goes, don't even bother. We got a call, next thing, we got a call in the middle of last week. I think it was like Wednesday. I think it was because that's when my doctor's appointment was. And they called while we were in the ultrasound that they had more cloth diapers in. The place that we had bought them were out of new and the gently used and everything. They'd gotten some, we thought just new, but they did get 8 gently used diapers in. So we drove up there Thursday night, and I actually ended up buying more than I even wanted to. So at this point we have 36 diapers. Well, we have 34 right now. We did the Fuzzy Buns thing where you bought 5 and got 1 free. So they're mailing us 2 extra diapers. But right now we have a total of 36, which I think is absolutely plenty. And they're all Fuzzy Buns, hopefully. We don't have a problem with Fuzzy Buns, and hopefully, they fit him well and everything. The next thing I'll talk about is on Friday, I had the follow-up appointment with my primary doctor about the gestational diabetes. And that appointment went really, really well, and I was a little nervous about that, too, because I've started to notice, taking my sugar, that, checking my blood sugar, that fruit is starting to raise my blood sugar where it didn't before. Carbs still don't seem to. Like, as long as we eat, like, whole wheat pasta, I don't seem to have a problem with it, which I know some people still do. But I noticed, like, one day I had a bowl of cereal and chopped up a banana in it. And when I checked my blood sugar, like, an hour and a half later, it was at 160. And so I was kind of debating whether or not to even tell him that, just because I am so sick of fighting with everyone about my gestational diabetes. But I told him that. He's like, that's absolutely normal. And I was like, I feel so much better now. Like, it was a huge relief. And he says basically the same thing that I've told you guys, that the American Diabetic Association keeps lowering the numbers. And it's not that they don't lower them because of a good reason, because they've obviously done more research and found more patterns of how, what's acceptable now is because even the little bit higher numbers lead to type 2 diabetes. But because it is just gestational, and we have a plan for me to lose weight and a plan for me to do better and everything, that he said 2.5 hours after you eat, you should check your blood sugar. And he said as long as those numbers are around 160, he's happy. He said he would even be happy with under 180. And he said, just so you know, I did consult with an endocrinologist, because I told him the doctor's still kind of giving me a problem about this and about insulin. He said I consulted with the endocrinologist. Oddly enough, the endocrinologist that he wanted to send me to, and he said his plan was absolutely fine. He said if he wanted to, he could put me on another diabetic medication, if he felt that I wasn't controlling it good, but he feels that I am. He said because the danger with the other diabetic medication is the same thing with insulin. Your blood pressure or your blood sugar can go too low, which is a lot more dangerous. And I kind of talked to him about the doctor, and I said, hang on, I just want to check the time. Okay. So I kind of talked to him a little bit about the doctor, and about him keep bringing up insulin and everything like that. And he said that not to, that he's just concerned there's going to be a big baby and blah, 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 blah. But everything went really well. He reassured me, made me feel a lot better. And so, I'm just not going to worry about it as much. I haven't checked my blood sugar as much because I know it doesn't get anywhere near 200. And I know, like, the 160 was the highest that I've seen it be. And that was after only an hour and a half. If I had waited 2.5 hours, it would have been even lower. He does want me to email him, like, in 3 consecutive days, like, what it is 2.5 hours after breakfast, 2.5 hours after lunch, 2.5 hours after dinner. Just to, kind of keep a check on it. I see him again at the end of June if I still haven't gone into labor. And then we go from there. So all in all, everything's doing good. The room, as I said, is all finished, and I'll do that video here shortly after we get everything from our baby shower and get that put away. But I hope everybody's doing good, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.